Welcome to Underdog Stuff. It is the intersection of pop culture and personal growth. Underdog's perspective on all the things going on in the news and the culture from all the angles, the unavoidable, the underrated, the uninhibited, the unbelievable, the unsaid. You get it by now, Underdog Stuff. And to take you on that journey every week, you have your host, Gregory Neesmith. I like to just say I'm an entrepreneur and into all things Underdog Stuff. Out here exploring how underdogs find ways to keep coming up and coming back. And with that, I can now say this phrase, and as always, joined in studio by intern producer extraordinaire Terry Lynn Crawford, aka TLC, aka co-founder and co-host of the Tea Room podcast in the building.
Good morning.
Well, good morning to some people, depending on where they are in the world. Good afternoon and good evening, because if you're listening on www.whcr.org, you could be anywhere in the world right now listening, or if you're on Facebook Live /Gregory Neesmith, you could be watching anywhere in the world. And also, you can call in too, Mr. Telephone Man. There's nothing wrong with your line. If you dial 212-650-6903, I'm gonna pick up every time. And just in case my attempt to have a flashback of dreaming of being an R&B star, am I the king of R&B? No, I'm just joking. That was a joke, everybody. I am nowhere near that. But if my attempt of singing a New Edition remix threw you off, you can actually join the conversation at 212-650-6903, or let your fingers do the talking and walking at facebook.com/Gregory Neesmith. Today is episode 98. We are almost at 100. And next week we'll be at 99, and I'm just going to play 99 Problems just because we'll be at 99. But this week we're at 98, and today's episode is themed 2019 Starts, Stops, and Pivots. 2019 Starts, Stops, and Pivots Part 1. And we're going to get into a couple things. Unavoidable news. We're going to talk about everybody's running for president. Everybody wants to be president of this shut down country right now. We'll talk about that in unavoidable news. The under the week, we're going to talk about LeBron James, the king. LeBron out here loving himself like Kanye loves Kanye. I'll explain in the under the week. And then the end of the show, Underdog Spotlight, we got special guests Alvaro Montagna and Maria Cordova. The dynamic duo are founders of Unorthodox New York City. They stopped by to share about their journey of being underdog entrepreneurs that have made it to year 3 in business. And that's a big deal because a lot of people start, but it's hard to keep going. And they're going to tell us about their journey of the underdog, being entrepreneurs, the hustle, the grind, and the fun along the way. With that, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to get into the unavoidable news, your phone calls, and your comments after this. And it'll be quick, a real quick break, I promise. I told you it'd be quick. It was like a real quick break, wasn't that, Terry Lynn? Quick?
Really quick.
Yes, it was. You're listening to Underdog Stuff, episode 98 on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Shout out to everybody listening on the radio dial, on the internet, on IG Live, on Facebook Live. We appreciate you a whole bunch. Any Facebook Live comments so far as we get this show popping?
Daniel wishes us a happy new year.
Oh, very cool. I appreciate that. And say that one more time so I can make sure you're up loud enough in my headphones.
Daniel wishes us a happy new year.
Very cool. Shout out to Daniel and happy new year to him too. All right. With that, let's get into the unavoidable news of the week. I don't know if you heard or not, but this happened.
I have the absolute right to declare a national emergency. The lawyers have so advised me. I'm not prepared to do that yet, but if I have to, I will. I have no doubt about it. I will. I have the absolute right to declare. This was passed by Congress. So when you say, was it passed by Congress? It was. Other presidents have used it, some fairly often. I have the absolute right to declare a national emergency. I haven't done it yet. I may do it. If this doesn't work out, probably I will do it. I would almost say definitely.
What? Your man's in them. Donald Trump talking about if he doesn't get money for the border wall, he's just going to make up an emergency and build it himself, kind of. And it got me to thinking, underdogs, are you ready for a government shutdown? And you may be saying, but Gregory, we're already in a government shutdown. And unfortunately, for about 800,000 federal workers, they're in one right now and kind of at the point of potentially no return, where for the first time since the shutdown, they didn't get paychecks this past Friday. And so they may not have been ready for a shutdown, but it got me to thinking, should there be a shutdown on your end? If you get laid off from your job or some money starts coming in slow with your gig, are you ready for a shutdown? And unfortunately, based on a lot of research and studies, you aren't, I'm not, Terry Lynn's not, most of us aren't, because a lot of us are living paycheck to paycheck. And I just want to, at some point we'll talk about what are some ways we can be ready for if there's some version of a government shutdown in our own lives. With that, though, you may be wondering, Donald Trump sounds like he's just talking. He talks a lot of stuff, right? He said Mexico was going to pay for the wall. He says some stuff that just, you're like, it's just Donald Trump talking. He's not really going to declare a state of emergency. It's all good. Government will be open soon. Nobody could really buy into this idea. Donald Trump probably doesn't have any support. Who would even co-sign on something like that?
I always said it would be the last resort. We're there. There's no pathway forward that I can see, so the president believes he has his power. Seems to me the only way left is for him to exercise that authority. I don't see any action in the Congress.
Maybe this thing could really happen. That was Senator Lindsey Graham from the state of South Carolina co-signing that maybe it is time for Trump to do this. Underdogs, what's going on, man? Do you think this is really going to happen? Declare a state of emergency? Do you think they'll finally reach a deal? Let me know. But that's the politics part of it. I want to get into the personal growth part of it. Are you ready for a shutdown in your own life, though? Terry Lynn, you ready for a shutdown in your own life?
No.
You're not ready for one, right?
Nope.
Got to have some more money saved. Might need a side hustle or two. Because the word is, one of the most riskiest things we can do in life is actually only have one stream of income. And so, underdogs, I want you to start thinking, just in case you aren't one of the 800,000 right now affected, you could be. Could happen to you, could happen to me. It's already happened to 800,000 folks. How are you getting ready if, quote unquote, you have a shutdown in your own life? Your job shuts down on you. And I know 50% of Americans can't come up with $2,000 in 30 days. I know 3 out of 5 Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So I'm not about to get on here and start talking some rosy language about, hey, just save some more money, as if that's easy to do. It's not easy to do. But you know what, folks, we can all start doing? Stop being so mean to our friends and family. Stop acting like you don't know nobody till you need somebody. Because if you at least have some strong relationships with some folks in your life, if bad times do come, you'll always at least have a couch to sleep on, somebody to cook a meal for you, have a roof over your head. So at least, underdogs, please, if you don't have the money, which it's all right, like a lot of us don't, you can at least have the relationships that can help you survive some type of government shutdown. And we should all start thinking about what our side hustle is going to be for 2019. Terry Lynn, you going to have a new side hustle for 2019?
I'm going to have about 3.
3? You going to have 3 side hustles in 2019?
3, that's the aim.
That's
the aim.
That's the aim. You have 3 side hustles, and what's at least one of them? Can you share, or is it like undercover stuff where nobody can know?
Undercover for now.
Well, I mean, hopefully not illegal undercover.
Oh no,
just you just don't want people in your business.
No, I'm not gonna be like a street pharmacist or anything.
Okay.
Everything will be legal.
Pharmacies are on the streets, though.
You know what I mean.
I do. Just in case people listen, we're gonna keep it moving. All right. With that, there's some questions that people might have about the shutdown, and one of the things we like to do here is make sure we share information with people. And are there some questions you think, Terry Lynn, people might have that we should give them some answers to?
Yes. I know a lot of people are concerned about whether they're going to get their refund check back or not. And that's something that I'm concerned about as well. And we are, that's the current status right now. Trump confirmed this week that we will, but although it's outside of the IRS's policy, we don't really know, or can we trust what the government says? But as for right now, they confirm we will be getting it this week.
Very cool. Any other questions you think people should know an answer to that they might have?
I think another one, they may be concerned about travel since the TSA are not getting paid.
Yeah, a lot of people calling out sick.
Exactly. So people want to know, is it even safe to travel at this point? And the answer is yes. The TSA is still working and they're still scanning people. We don't know how well they're scanning people, but they're still working.
All right, cool. So we can still travel.
Yes.
And the refunds are still coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the government's still shut down.
Yes.
All right. Sounds like US of A is a challenging place to work right now. But yet there are people who want to actually work in the government and not just work. They want to lead it. There's people who are out here saying they want to run for president. Are you running for president? You're not old enough yet to run for you like AOC's age, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
Yeah,
you're
around there. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, there's some news going on in terms of who might be running, and it seems like every day I keep getting an update about somebody's running. There's news about this person.
We the people, we understand our unity is our strength and our diversity is our power.
Do you know who that is?
Kamala.
Yes, Senator Harris. Word is, I believe it was reported in the San Francisco Chronicle that on MLK Day, which is January 21st or somewhere around there, she's going to make an official announcement of whether she's running or not. So we'll see. Someone who is of, I believe, Jamaican and Indian descent. She would become potentially the first woman of color to be president of the United States if she should win. And she was asked, does she think the country is ready for a woman of color? Not necessarily her, but just a woman of color. And she said, absolutely. Do you agree?
I agree. I'm ready for it.
All right, well, we'll see. Underdogs, I put up a poll question on IG, and we'll read those answers, and we'll see whether you agree with Terry Lynn and agree with Kamala Harris that America's ready. Not necessarily for her. She wasn't out here bragging or boasting that it should be her. She's just saying in general, America's ready for some more diversity in the folks that hold the highest office in the land. Also, someone else who might be rumored to be running is this guy here.
I did willingly violate the chair's rule on the committee confidential process. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment.
Spartacus is running. I don't know why Cory Booker made up this manufactured moment of dramatics calling himself Spartacus. That was during the, I believe, what's the guy's name that shouldn't have been confirmed? Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. That was during the Kavanaugh hearings. And that was him making up, he's this big time Spartacus moment doing something against the rules to make a stand and make a difference. But you know why I bring up Cory Booker? You know why?
Why?
Because it's reported that Cory Booker out here dating Rosario Dawson.
Really?
Yes, they were seen in New York City together. Supposedly it was their second outing. And the reason why this is a big deal is that Cory Booker is currently single. He's not married. And if he was to announce to run, and he hasn't yet, and let's say he won, I think, at least in recent memory, he'd be the first president that's not married. And so, underdogs, question for you, even if this is for show, let's say Cory Booker doesn't really love Rosario Dawson, but he's just going to marry her or get engaged just because he feels like that's the look that a president's supposed to have. Underdogs, is it time to throw out this thing that our presidents have to be married, no matter what their gender is? Are you ready for potentially the first tender-in-chief? We got the Twitter-in-chief in Obama. We could potentially have the first tender-in-chief if Cory Booker got into office as a president and he wasn't married. Underdogs, let me know. And we also have a poll question on that too. So I'm curious to see what people say, whether you're still in this old school tradition that we have to follow certain rules, or whether it's like, why should we ever even care whether the person who wants to be president of the United States, regardless of gender, why should we care whether they're married or not? And if we want to, sip on some tea and get real here, it seems a lot of folks didn't even matter when people were out there doing stuff behind their spouse's back, like Bill Clinton. So if we don't care about people's infidelity, then why should we care whether people are married or not? Yes, I went there for a hot second. And for anybody who's saying that Cory Booker needs to be married, even when the people were married, we didn't seem to care much about what they were doing in their personal lives, or especially in their relationships. With that, there's also some other people running. I'm going to play a clip because there's some people who are announcing they're running that they are really underdogs because I don't think they have a shot to win at all. But hey, it's America. It's a free country. You can get in where you fit in. Underdogs. Can you guess who this is? Because this person announced that they're running for office, I think, yesterday.
I am a candidate for President of the United States of America. I'm running for president because it's time for new leadership, because it's time for new energy, and it's time for a new commitment to make sure that the opportunities that I've had are available to every American. In the years to come, we must go forward as one nation, working toward one destiny, and that destiny is to be the smartest, the healthiest, the fairest, and the most prosperous nation on earth.
Y'all don't even know who that is. I'm not even going to put you on the spot, Cherry Lynn, aka TLC. You know why I'm not going to put you on the spot? Because I know you don't know who that is. And most people don't know who that is. That was Julian Castro, former Obama cabinet member and former San Antonio mayor. Him, just like everybody else I know, is running for president. And he announced, along with a woman who's a Hawaii representative, Ms. Gabbard, and we already know about Elizabeth Warren. But yeah, you didn't even know that dude Castro was running, did you?
I didn't.
Do you think he has a chance to win?
I mean,
No.
look who we have in president right now.
that is a fair point. He has a chance to win, but not gonna be able to do it.
Right.
Underdogs, let me know. Do you think he has a shot? Does Rep. Gabbard have a shot from Hawaii? We'll see. I might run. Just everybody else is running. We'll see. With that, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back and give you the poll answers to whether or not folks think that a woman of color is, something that could happen in the United States, and whether or not you think Cory Booker should get married or he should just be the tender in chief should that happen. And when we come back, we got the under the week. And the under the week is LeBron James, out here loving LeBron James like Kanye loves Kanye. I want to get your thoughts because it sounds like I'm going to talk about sports, but in a way I'm not going to talk about sports. I'm going to talk about, the difference between bragging and confidence, sharing, oversharing. Let me know. LeBron out here saying he the GOAT. I'm going to get your thoughts on it. More Underdog Stuff after this break, episode 98, and then still to come, Underdog Spotlight. We got Al Marie in the building, entrepreneurs who really making it happen in year 3 of running Unorthodox, and we'll learn about their journey and about their business after this break. Welcome back to Underdog Stuff, episode 98, 2019 starts, stops, and pivots. You know who's starting something? Castro, Gabbard, Warren. A bunch of people starting something that they want to run for president. Harris probably going to be starting something. Maybe Booker's going to be starting something. If Booker starts something, he potentially could be the first president of the United States, at least in recent memory, that's not married. I ask folks, do you think Booker should get married or he should be the tender in chief? 69% of you said it's okay for Booker to be the tender in chief. We new school now. We don't have to be married to run for president. Appreciate you. I got to talk to the other 31% of y'all to figure out why Cory's got to get married. And then the question of, is America ready for a woman of color to be president? Oh my goodness, what did folks say? They said 69% says America's ready. 31% says America needs more time. So we'll see. I would say America has shown, at least at the presidential level, being very open to whoever they feel is the most qualified candidate, regardless of gender or race, can get the most votes. 2008, 2012, a brother got the most votes. 2016, a woman got the most votes. Now, I know the Electoral College threw things off a bit, but still, more Americans voted for a woman to be president than a man in Donald Trump. So just so you know, for those who might be saying that you don't agree with Kamala Harris, there's some data that says, no, we're ready for a lot of things, especially based on the facts of how folks vote. All right, with that, let's play a quick thing about LeBron James for the under the week. And the UN stands for unbelievable. Or maybe it should stand for uninhibited, because maybe LeBron was sharing his uninhibited thoughts when he said this.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
For so many reasons.
I was super, super ecstatic to win one for Cleveland because of the 52-year drought. like I was ecstatic. Like obviously I showed that the first wave of emotion was when y'all everyone saw me crying. Like that was all for 52 years of everything in sports going on in Cleveland. And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
LeBron James out here speaking for himself. No need to let other people tell you how good you are when you can tell yourself how good you are, right? You know, you ever seen that meme? Love yourself like Kanye loves Kanye. You ever heard that saying, love yourself first and everything else falls into place? You ever heard Cat Williams go, self-esteem is esteem of yourself? It looks like LeBron has a healthy bit of self-esteem and confidence. But yet, on the other hand, right, we're always told to love ourselves and toot our horns, but then we're told to be humble at the same time. Don't brag, be humble. Tell people how good you are, but don't brag, be humble. But hey, maybe times are changing. Maybe in 2019, you're just supposed to tell folks exactly how you feeling. Now, LeBron's not the first great basketball player to be debated about whether he's the GOAT or not. There's been other people who've been asked whether or not they think that they're the greatest. Like, you know, people ask Michael Jordan that all the time.
I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, you know, all the guys that prior to me, I never had a chance to play against. You know, what everybody's saying I am, I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me. When I hear it, I cringe a little bit because, you know, it's a little bit embarrassing because no one knows, you know, I never had the chance once again to play against those guys.
That's MJ, I think, having a moment of humility, saying that, you know, I'm not even going to answer whether or not I'm the greatest or not. I'll let other people say that, and I also don't want to disrespect those who came before me and that I potentially never even had a chance to play against. So my question for you underdogs out there, would you ever tell your coworkers that you're the greatest of all time at something you do? Would you? Would you be out here loving yourself like Kanye loves Kanye, like LeBron loves LeBron? Or would you take the MJ approach and just, you know, kind of just say you think you're one of the best or very good at what you do, but you're not here to label yourself as the greatest? Terry Lynn, are you going to tell people you're the greatest at something of all time?
Of all time, no, because I feel like if you're the best, you don't have to say it. Your resume is going to speak for itself. And other people will talk about you and say you're the best. You don't have to get on the radio and say it. You don't have to tweet about it. Everyone else is going to know by what you're doing.
Well,
except LeBron James.
And underdogs agree with you. 72% say LeBron should just, you know, chill out and just stay humble. And let me be very clear. Is LeBron the greatest of all time? I'm not sure yet, but is he the greatest of his generation? Yep. Is he one of the greatest of his generation on the court and off the court? Yep. But do I think he should chill out? Yep. And let me be also clear. Many of us, including myself, rarely are even so good at something that I would even know what it's like to answer that question or be asked that question. But all that being said, just from a pure timetable, it's premature for him to be discussing whether he's greatest of all time. He's 34 and still playing basketball. So finish your career first, then maybe have that discussion would be my thoughts on the whole thing. With that, we're going to take a quick break because then when we come back, we got Al Marie of Unorthodox for the Underdog Spotlight. And they stopped by to talk about the Underdog's journey of making it to year 3 of having a business in New York City, the concrete jungle, making it happen. They're coming up after this quick break. Welcome back to Underdog Stuff, the place where pop culture and personal growth meet each other, and we get underdogs' perspectives on what's going on in the news and the culture from all the unangles. And one of those unangles is Underdog Spotlight. We end every show with some underdogs out there making it happen in the world. And today we have special guest Al, aka Alvaro, and
more like Alvaro, aka Al.
Yes. And Maria, the dynamic duo, are founders of Unorthodox in New York City. They've been providing a platform where people can create, experiment, and explore their creativity while socializing and simply having fun since February 2016. And today they will let us know about their journey of underdog entrepreneurs that have made it to year 3 in business. Alvaro, aka Al, is originally from Uruguay and over the years has held creative and design positions at top advertising and design agencies and has taught as an adjunct professor at Keene University, that is. And Maria, originally from Russia, over the years has worked as an event planner in London and as a buyer for brands such as Tommy Hilfiger in Moscow and Istanbul, and has done some artist representation in New York City too. Al, Maria, happy to have you on the show.
Woo! Hey, Gregory, how are you?
Happy to have you.
I have to say, I'm really here to run for president, so I'm trying to advertise.
Everybody's running for president.
I want to declare it. As of today, I'm running for president.
I actually would have been more upset if you told me you were not running for president, because I'm like, Al, come on now. If everybody else is, why are you doing it?
That's right.
And a lot of folks running for president are going to be underdogs to win because it's going to be a crowded field.
That is correct.
With that, it actually reminds me of one of the things I love to ask our guests when they come on is, when I say the word underdog to you, what comes to mind?
Well, you know, I kind of thought about this for about a few minutes, and I think it's more like a, you know, the saying, the silver platter. It's more like a wooden platter. So that's the way I look at it. It's like people who go into business or something, a competition, which didn't have the opportunities to do what some others may have done. Like, for instance, the silver platter concept. I didn't get any money. I didn't get any special education because of, you know, my family or anything like that. So that's the way I look at it. It's like building my way up from a wooden platter to a silver platter.
Yes, indeed. And it's awesome when that platter turns into silver.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's a bit more even rewarding when we know that we created that platter.
Well, I'm still mahogany. I mean, I started with plywood, still working my way up, still like kind of like an oak somewhere around there. But yeah, I'm definitely working up.
Fair enough. Maria, extra thoughts on that?
I will just support him. I just feel that people who are underdogs is that some people who are working behind the scenes, but they're just waiting for their moment to shine. And it's all about ambition and motivation that keeps you going. And then and eventually we'll get there.
Very cool. And you talk about getting there. I was reading your bio and the story of Unorthodox, and I saw that it launched in February 2016.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's this little footnote that talks about it started September 2015. Can you help the underdogs out there? What happened between September 15 and February 16, the actual launch of this thing called Unorthodox?
Oh, absolutely. So we were a company 2 weeks after we came up with the concepts, registered. We registered in September 2015. Then we started to sort of refine the program, what we wanted to do. And that takes time. Not a lot of times, because we weren't working at that. We were doing side hustles, as you said, talking about before. And so we began, we had a concept right away. We didn't waste any time. All right, let's do it. We'll start. This is the way that I kind of do things, to start the company, make it official. Unless you make it official, it will always be in limbo. So we made it official, I think, and we started conceptualizing. We were interviewing possible instructors in hotel lobbies because we didn't even have a space yet. We were looking for, you know, brick and mortar, a place that we can actually get this place started. That takes time, especially in New York City with very little budget. We had to increase our budget over the time. We learned that very quickly. And then we wanted to be sure that we were ready to go when the doors opened, because our reputation, our brand was on the line. The brand wasn't a brand yet, of course, but so yeah, it took us, the whole planning stage, it took us about 3 to 4 months.
No, and I think that's important to note, that just because we might all have an idea in our head, that there takes preparation and planning to turn that idea into an actual functioning
Don't
business.
plan too much though, because sometimes you spend too much planning and you have to jump into the water and learn how to swim. So that was the concept with this. I'm in a later stage of my life today. I'm 46 years old. At that point, I was, in my early 40s. I feel like I don't have much time to waste. So don't plan too much. Like I said, you have to jump in the water to learn how to swim. You can learn all about H2O, but unless you jump in, you're never going to learn.
You won't know how good of a swimmer you are until you actually get in the water.
That's right.
Now, with that, some folks have dreamed of being entrepreneurs their whole life, and some folks, it just hits them at some point along the way. Have you always dreamed of being a business owner?
Personally, no. I was always excited to work in big companies and surrounded by lots of people so I can learn from them and kind of explore my abilities and possibilities. But I think everything happens for a reason. And as I moved to United States about 10 years ago, I started to be surrounded by people with a specific mentality and thought process that was very inspiring to me. And, life kind of directed me. I started to get to know people who would eventually take me on the entrepreneurship road. And this is where my ideas kind of shine through and my best talents shine through. And I figured, you know what, why not? Yeah, I was always looking for an interesting project to work on, and entrepreneurship is that opportunity where you can make anything happen. So I guess I was just, allowed life and destiny to get me to the place where I am. I mean, working hard as well.
That is very cool. And now you two are 3 years in.
In February, it's going to be 3. Yeah.
Well, I want to take a little step back to almost down memory lane with you two.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of folks who listen to the show, and we talk about helping underdogs really keep finding ways to come up and come back. And so I want to take us back to year 1. But now it's 3 years later.
Right.
A lot of folks are just getting started. And you talked about, Al, jump in the water, but don't wait too long, but do something. What's something that you worried about in year 1 that now looking back, you're like, why did we even spend so much time on that? And then we're going to follow that up with what's something you didn't worry about in year 1 that you're like, oh my goodness, that really deserved much, 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 much more of my time.
Well, when we started, as Al said, we just jumped in the water. We had this idea. We didn't know exactly what it's going to be. We were all motivated by art, and we loved art. So we wanted to create something that would, first of all, make us happy, and that would incorporate art. So the idea developed as we started working on it. So when we started, we didn't think a lot. We were just doing everything we could, everything we knew, right, trying to understand the industry we are in right now. So we basically use all our knowledge, all our experience, all our connections just to do, because you cannot just think about it, just do research, go to Wikipedia, and talk to people. You have to do this. And then later on, you will understand what worked, what not, what didn't. And as Al likes to say, we were planting the seeds.
Yeah.
The first year.
It's interesting because it's I've ran a couple of businesses before, so I had an idea. So right away, it was like step 1, step 2. I wasn't really learning too much at the beginning about how to start in business. I had the motivation down. I had the ambition down. We're still lacking the capital, which is what you need for every business. You can have all the ambition in the world, all the everything in the world. As long as if you don't have capital, that's a major part of starting any business. Unless you're a service oriented, like professional, like a designer or a photographer, you still need money for that. But as far as what we worried about then, or vice versa, that we don't worry about now, it's really money is always an issue, right? Every business, when you're talking about money, you always worry about money regardless of how much money you make. But to us, I didn't have many worries, because I learned that, for instance, 90% of the time you're going to make mistakes in business, right? But most people think that as failures. I always looked at it as a lesson learned. Right? You can go to business. We don't go to business school. We've never been to. I've been to school, graduated with a BFA in graphic design, but yet it's again, it's what you learn in life. In my previous businesses, I was able to move forward. So to be honest with you, I don't have anything so much that I can say, oh man, I should have focused more on that or this. It's just kind of we're plowing along because we're passionate about what we're doing. So
Yeah, and I think that's very cool from the standpoint. It's also in the spirit of today's theme, which is 2019 starts, stops, and pivots.
Right.
And one of the great things about the mantra, even that last word of pivots, is you do things, you try them, you learn from them, and you either do more of what worked or you make adjustments. And
That's
it
right.
sounds like for you, one of the things for both of you, it was actually being in action was the thing that you quote unquote worried about or did, and then making sure you were learning from each
That's right.
experience.
That's right.
Absolutely. I think that this important thing for any entrepreneur is to be flexible. Like you need to act right away. You don't have time to waste. So if one thing doesn't work, you need to jump into another. You need to have this open mind of constant learning, hearing something, taking somebody's advice or not taking somebody's advice, believing, in what you want to achieve, of course, but that flexibility of get up and do it one more time, I think that's what make you successful eventually.
That's very cool. And that is some of the grind and the hustle of being an entrepreneur.
Of course.
But also with the grind and the hustle, I'm hopeful that there's also some fun along the way.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've been doing this for 3 years. You have a business that is part of its mission involves creativity, self-expression, and fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's been one of the memorable, fun moments along this journey of now making it to, I believe your 3-year anniversary is literally in a few weeks?
Yes.
What's been one of the fun things that's happened along the way?
Well, for certain, it has been the media attention. I mean, the first year we were opened up, we were already doing reality shows with ABC, for instance, and then moving forward, we were featured in NBC for different types of like coolest things to do in New York City. We're like, what? That's us! What are you talking about? Right? And then we were fortunate to be selected to be in Shark Tank. We were there for that as well. And just in the last 3 days. We've been interviewed twice, once by you here, and then another organization who's talking about happiness. It's like a worldwide thing, and also who was here yesterday? TLC, but
and,
the Voice of America as well.
So that last week was all like coverage, like news coverage.
I feel like Kanye right now. I love myself.
Yeah, Al loves Al. Love Al like Al loves Al.
But you know what? To answer your question, those are big rewards. But the reality is that every day you get up to fulfill what you want to do, that is the reward. That's what true happiness is. It's not a destination. It's certainly working your way up to a state of mind, if you will. So yeah, so being on TV for me is, I mean, I can say, making people happy as they come in because they leave happy, but no. I'm going to be honest with you, like anyone, I would say that it's been great getting the attention. I mean, just because they seek us, we don't seek anybody. And if we created something from like thin air that like major news networks are coming after us saying, oh my God, I'm glad you're here. We want to do a story on you. That's something that you can't put a value to. And what you can, which is the value of happiness, I guess you can say.
Yes. So. And all the underdogs, and especially myself and Chairlyn, we appreciate you for coming in and fitting us into your media schedule here. I know, right? We feel very cool to be a part of that list of opportunities.
Let's make it short, Gregory. We have other.
I gotta go campaign for my presidency.
Well, you're gonna have to let us know what your slogan's gonna be.
Yes.
We're gonna have to bring you back to talk more about your run for president and all the things you're doing at Unorthodox.
That's right.
With that, you mentioned learning from mistakes, and we've talked about start, stops, and pivots, in here and there. Talk to folks who we're all going through a new year, right? Everybody's new year, new you, all this stuff. From a business perspective, from Unorthodox, what's something that you guys are going to start, stop, or pivot to really help bring in more happiness, but also I'm assuming bring more growth to what you're creating?
But you can't forecast where you're going to pivot until it gets there. So I can't say to you, because that technically will fall under start. So when you pivot, you technically start in something new. We pivoted a couple of times throughout the years, just to it takes a lot of discipline to stop and realize what you have and then turn the other way. We hadn't had to do much of that, just little adjustments. But as far as start, what do you think will be a big thing we're starting?
Well, I think that we have certain areas that we need to focus on. As we grow, we realize that we get more and more attention, so we want to focus on the ways how we can handle the growth, because we start feeling it's coming. So we were kind of not thinking about it, because you just come every day, you work, and you deal with what life brings to you every day. Right now we want to focus on the right ways of handling the clients, the growth, the traffic that's coming in, the attention, so that we can perform on the specific level that we want to be at.
I love that. Preparing for growth, which means there's a spirit of positivity, but also you put into work to actually.
Well, you cannot live without it. I mean, you cannot expect the failure, right? It's not going to keep you going. So yeah, you always expect the good things happen, and then if the pivots are happening, well, okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's
it's life.
It's like you said, like Maria said before, as long as you catch it and then you make the decision to pivot, that's the important part. And this is when you take both advice from other people and yourself, because nobody can tell you how you feel and what your personal goals are. And essentially that's what it's all about. It's about personal goals. It's, you can take certain advice, and then, sometimes you can say, oh, thank you. Sometimes like, yeah, thank you, but you don't truly understand my position where we are. But yeah, so understanding where you need to pivot is key to staying successful. And don't do it out of desperacy, but do it out of desire.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Desperation and urgency are two different minds.
Yes.
And better to be urgent instead of desperate.
Yeah.
With that, I have a bonus question that it just hit me that a lot of times one of the things I've seen get in the way of myself or other underdogs out there is attempting to go things alone. That they are the best to do it. They got it. No one can do it better than I can. And or they've had bad experiences where they've tried to partner with people and it didn't work out. You are a dynamic duo.
Right.
And I'd love to, if each of you could share what's been one of the things that you've gotten by doing it as a duo as opposed to doing it alone, for some of the underdogs out there who are listening who are like, I'm just going to keep doing it by myself.
Well, there's two schools of thought to that. So you it's very important to select the right partner. I've come from other businesses where my partner wasn't the best for me. Now, you heard the saying, two different people have to bring different things to the table. Now, Maria, in this case, she has all the discipline in the world. She's like, okay, great idea, Al. How are we going to do it? And I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. But she's like, no, we need to know how to do it. So, and a company like Unorthodox needs me 150% and needs Maria 150%. So the key is for one, not go into a business because you guys have the same skills. You want to bring different things into the business, and she brings that discipline, and I'm kind of like, hey man, we should be doing this, So that's what makes this relationship work. And just know that what's important, and I'll know that what's important with a partner too is the energy. The universe, all that stuff, which I never was a big believer in, but I've come into terms with that. You have to have that unspoken language between each other, and we have that. We argue like everybody else. We celebrate the good times like everybody else, but you have to be able to understand that both of you, or 3 or 4 partners, whomever, are here for the same goal. So
I love that.
Well, business relationship is the same as personal relationship, right? It's all about the ability to allow another person to shine. I also had another business in the past, and what I learned from another business partnership, is that I cannot compete at work. I cannot have a competition with my partner who's doing best and who's doing more work. I think the real true relationship in business specifically, because you have mutual goal, is allowing another person to shine and bring the best. You are here to allow that person to bring the best to the company, and that person allowing you to do the same. So then when I allow Al to express himself and just share any ideas that he has, not stopping him and just listening to it. And, sometimes I say, no, that's bullshit. It's not going to work. And in the other way, I'm sorry.
Hit the button, Greg.
And the other way around, he always listens to me, what I have to bring to the table. So I think that mutual ability to listen to each other, that's very important, and respect. And then
respect, yes.
Yeah. And then versus, your question, what is it better to be by yourself and have a partner? Be by yourself and run business by yourself. It's huge responsibility. You need to be so organized to kick yourself every day and just keep going.
Everybody, if I may cut you off for a second, Maria, everybody needs to be accountable for something.
Yeah.
Right? If you do it yourself, it's always like you don't have anybody to hold you accountable. When you have a partner, you have to respond to them because they have their ambitions. You have to, if you lay back, she's going to be like, hey, listen, dude, you're cutting into my ambition time, so it's like you have to have somebody to hold you accountable. And this is where I think not just bring in different different skills, it's also you always need somebody to hold you accountable for things.
Yeah, you remind me of, there's a saying that everybody needs more support than they're getting. And so whether it is an official, you have partners or co-founders, or whether you just have a team of people who support you, underdogs, it's not worth it to try to do it alone. What it can look like is a bunch of different ways, but it normally is exhausting if you try to do it all.
Yeah, I did it on my
yourself.
own for my second design agency, and I couldn't do it. It's just, you need that.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now, because of my partner. And I think I credit much of the success to my partner, and this is why it's so important to have somebody who don't just connect in business, but you connect from a personal perspective as well. Because the reality is, everybody says it's business, not personal. It's more personal as business. Everything is combined.
Yeah, there's people involved in business, which means it's personal.
It's personal. I don't know. Oh, it's business and not personal. It's always personal.
It's one of the sayings in the world that we learn culturally that's just not true.
It's not true.
And it takes a lot of the soul and heart, I believe, out of, and empathy and compassion out of business, because you try to separate that there's people involved when there's people involved.
Listen,
in business.
Being an entrepreneur, it's a character trait, right? You can learn to be an entrepreneur. It's almost like teaching a drummer how to play drums, but you can't teach them rhythm, right? So entrepreneurship, for all you guys out there, is very simple. It's if you don't have it, don't do it. And I hate to be so direct to say that, but you have to feel it. It's
not for everybody.
It's not for everybody,
and that's
totally
okay.
not for everybody. And that's perfectly okay.
Fine.
Yeah,
right. That's perfectly okay.
But one thing we have learned is, especially after being 3 years in, entrepreneurship is for both of you.
Yes.
And a lot of underdogs have been listening to this. They know a little bit of your story. They know a little bit about your journey, but they probably want to know, how can they get in contact with you and how can they work with you at Unorthodox?
Oh, we don't work with anybody. It's just us two. That's it. We're invincible.
And those media companies that you
those media. Well, it's very simple. You can contact us through our emails, Maria at unorthodox.com or Al at unorthodox.com. You can always visit our website, unorthodox.com, or you can call us and talk to us. We're always willing to help you understand. Our number is 646-964-4733, and you can always call us. Hey, listen, I heard you're underdogs, and then we can certainly talk to you and kind of help you along. We'll send Gregory the bill later, so don't worry.
Thank you. We're here to help.
Yeah. So those are different ways. Maria, any other way? Any type of?
I mean, depends on, if you just want to talk about live, definitely give us a call. If you want to come and experience what we do, that's the best way to do, is check our public events calendar on our website, www.unorthodox.com. Or if you want to plan a party, just submit the form online and we'll get back to you and tell you more about it.
And for sure, either myself or Maria will get in touch with you, because our initial contact with our clients are directly from us.
Yeah.
That is good stuff. I want to say thank you to Al, Maria of Unorthodox for stopping through and letting us know about their journey.
Yes, I just want to say I want to cut taxes. I'm going to go healthcare for everyone. Albert Montana 2020.
Al for president. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, the big finish to episode 98. More Underdog Stuff after this quick break. Welcome back to Underdog Stuff, episode 98. It flew by just that quick. The hour is gone. Episode 98, 2019, start, stops, and pivots. A lot of people starting to run for president. We got LeBron James. Maybe you should stop loving himself like Kanye loves Kanye. And we should definitely start doing more stuff with Al Maria at Unorthodox as they joined us for the Underdog Spotlight. I want to say a quick shout out to all the folks who listened to the show today. Appreciate you, and all the folks online. Also, shout out to Al Maria and to TLC, Terry Lynn, in here holding it down in the producer chair. And shout out to our live show producer Megan and podcast editor Kayla. If you missed any of today's show, it's all good. Live show today, podcast tomorrow on all the places you love to listen to podcasts. And I'll leave you with my favorite quote: underdogs, can't nobody do it like you do it. Nobody. Peace.